So let's continue from where we left on our phrasal verbs from yesterday, right? So as we continue from this phrasal verbs, here is it. So that's good. All right. Yesterday, which part did we? So we went to get through, right?
Get along with.
Get along with. All right. So we said get along with is right. To get along with it is to live with somebody in harmony, right? To understand somebody and you are living with somebody and you are not uh but or you live or work with somebody and you are not fighting, right?
Yeah.
And you are not fighting, you are good friends. You can work together without any problems, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the next one is the
Get
next one,
through.
get through, right?
Mm.
Right. So what do we say? So what is the to get through? What do we have? We're saying get through here. What is it saying? What is it saying?
Is
Try to change it from Chinese to English. So we know what we are saying. Right. So, right, to get through, right? For example, we can use it when we are, as this verb, uh, when we are calling somebody, right? Get through, the phone, get through, when you're calling somebody, right? Yes, right, to get through. And then we can also say it as to pass a difficult or testing experience or period, right? All right, so we are passing a difficult test, right? Get through, right? I finally got through, right? Right, I finally got through, and now they are in the university, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Right. And then the next one,
The next one is give up.
give up. Very good. So this one, do you need any explanation about give up? Give up. Right. So what do we say if someone is giving up? That they don't want to do that thing anymore, right?
Yes.
You don't want to do that thing anymore. Say, I give up. I don't want to do it anymore. Hmm?
Mm.
Right. I give up. I don't want to do it anymore, right?
Mm.
All right. And the next one,
The next one is go out.
go out. All right. So, and here it is a phrasal verb of go out of what?
Um,
You have to try to explain it. Right. So that would be go out into the fire, right? Went out, right? Right. So like to, what do we say? To be extinguished, right?
Yeah.
That would be of fire, right? A few minutes later, the lights went out, right? So as we're saying went out, we are the past tense of go, remember, is went, right? Where did you go? I went to the shops, right? Remember, the past tense of go is went. So here we say the lights went out. So that is to past tense uh, of go will be went. So that is of extinguishing, or the fire went out, right? Right. Okay, so that will be good. And the next one.
The next one is
This one.
go over.
All right. So what is to go over?
To practice something.
Yes, not to practice, but to review, right?
Review. Yeah.
All right. So the best word is to review, but you're correct. It is something we are practicing, but to go over it is to review something. For example, you have written a letter, right? And then you have written a letter to your principal or to your friend, and you go over it, right? You review if they are mistakes. That is why we say to go over it. It is to review. To review is the most best answer here, right?
Yeah.
All right. So that is to review, go over. That is excellent. All right. So that is quite excellent. All right. So we will go over this later. Do you want to go over all this later?
Uh,
Do you want to review? I'm asking you if you want to review what we have done, is what we have read, to go over. All right, so let's go. The next one.
the next one. The next one is put forward.
Put forward, right? To put forward, right? So what is to put forward? Put forward. So we are looking at to put forward as a what, to propose, right? All right. So what are we saying? So please put forward your suggestions, right?
Mm.
All right. So what are we saying as we're saying to put forward? So let's see. Do you have an example of something that we can put forward?
To put forward some idea.
Yeah. So we can also say put forward is for recommend, right? So to put forward an idea, we can recommend something, right? We can recommend an idea, right? Right. She put forward an idea which was good for that situation, right?
Yes.
All right. So that will be great also to put forward for that situation. And then the next one is
The next one is put away.
very good. So what are we saying to put away? What is it? This one is simple. To put away. We have been using this one. All right, let me give you an example for like a tip example. Hint. Oh, Isabel, please put away your books. Right? So, Isabel, please put away your books.
Oh.
So that is my example. What do you think it means? Or Isabel, please put away your toys. So what does it mean?
It means to put your book in the school bag.
Very good. So that is the appropriate place where we are supposed to put your books in the school bag. So that is to store, right? So put away is to store something in its appropriate place. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So that is wonderful. So can you give me another example of a sentence using put away?
To put away
All right. I just want a sentence. Like for example, I told
put
you,
away your rubber.
please put away your rubber. All right, that is a good sentence, though. As we are continuing, the next one is put up. So what do we have for put up? Mhm. So what do we have for put up? All right. So what we have to put up is to construct. All right. To construct or erect something, for example, that is to build, construct, to build, right? Or to put something, right? That is to erect something. So usually we use it for example, if we are, what do we have? Make a tent. For example, we have gone camping and you say, I put up the tent, right? I put up the tent and cooked a meal. So I put up the tent and cooked a meal. So there is the similarities of put up is to build or construct or erect. Right?
Yeah.
So that is to construct, build, or erect. All right. And the next one is what is the next one?
The next one is put off.
Put off. Very good. So as we are, what is to put off?
To put off the
Right. So put off, it is to postpone something, right? For example, you are supposed to write your essay, right? And you say you always say, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I will do it tomorrow. Right. So a big word for that is to procrastinate. procrastinate, but for you, we just have to know to say postpone, right?
Yeah.
To say you do something tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that will be okay. So we'll be saying put up, it is something that you will do tomorrow, right? Okay. All right. So and the next one, what do we have?
Put out.
Put out. All right. As we are saying, put out.
The
Right.
fire.
Sorry.
Put out the fire.
Put out. All right. So you can put out the fire, which is good, right? Right. Which is put out the fire, which is excellent, right?
Mm.
So we can put out the fire, and that is quite good. Oh, so what other words can we use for to put out? So basically, this one it means to extinguish something that is burning, right?
Yeah.
So that is to extinguish something that is burning, and so that is you saying you need to put it out. For example, that would be the best way to describe this one. Well, as we are going, that will be the good part of it, and the next one will be. So the next one will be after
Next one is break down.
So what is to break down?
The shape is break down.
The ship, yes, the ship just broke down. The ship broke, right? The ship will break down, right? Right.
Yeah.
The ship will break down if you don't, right? Uh, if you don't oil the engine, right? For example, if you don't look after the engine, or your van will break down if you put too much load on it, right?
Mm.
So if you put a heavy load, your van will break down. And then, so remember, so what is the past tense of break? Remember, that is a past tense of break, and this one is called a irregular verb. So remember, the past tense of break, it is
Uh,
Broke. What do we pronounce that one? Broke. How
broke.
do
Broke.
Very good. Broke down. So it is to collapse, right?
Yeah.
All right. So that is what you want to use for today. So there are so many collapse. All right. So that is to separate into parts, right? We can separate
Mm.
it, right? Also again, and the next one is to
The next one is break out.
break out. So what is to break out?
Mm. Mm.
All right, so as to break out, so we've got different and several something that we have here, but not here. For example, we have said breakdown, which is the failure, right? Right, of of an
Mm.
engine, right? And then here, that will be the anchor. Right, so and now here, what are we looking at to break out? First, to break out, that will be to burst, right?
Yeah.
All right. So as we're looking at the burst of, or like for example, of a war, right? That the war broke out in Ukraine, right? There's a war in Ukraine that is broke out. There was a war in Ethiopia. That is to say, a war broke out, right? In the World War II, right? World War II broke out. So remember, we have said the past tense of break is to broke, right? Broke out, broke. Yeah, as we are saying that, that will come also to to run away from something. For example, to escape from a prison, right? So we have a prison. You are here in a prison, and then you run away from the prison. That is to escape, or right, to break out from somewhere which you are locked in. For example, we can also say that is what we can also say here. And then the other part we can use for breakout is like of all right, the fire, right?
Yeah.
Right, right. The fire, for example, if we use the fire, for example, in what is it, in the forest, right? We can say the fire, right? The forest fires we have broken out, right? So we have used another one of this one, which is broken, right? We broke, right? We have used broke as one of the past tense, right, of the irregular verb. So we also have broken, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so which is another irregular verb, which is broken, right?
Yeah.
So remember that. All right, so the fire has broken out, right? Okay, so and then the fire will break out. We can use as the same as this is and say the fire will break out if we don't if we don't do anything at this moment. Oh, with the okay, let me just put it in a nice place. The fire will break out if we don't uh don't do any action right now, right? If we don't do any action right now, the fire will break out. All right, so that will be as what we are saying. All right. So that would be the part we say the fire will break out. Right. So let's continue. All right. So let's see. What are we saying? The next part, what is it?
Next is make up for.
To make up. So what are we saying to make up?
To to make up some things. Mm.
To make up some things. All right. So to make up some things, as you're saying, uh, will come in a part where we are saying to tell a lie, right? To invent a story, right?
Mm.
Right. For example, if you say, okay, uh, I didn't want to go to Beijing, so I made up a story about having a swimming competition on that weekend. So you lied about having a swimming competition on that weekend. You made an excuse that is to make up something, right? And then we can also use that to make up. What else can we use to? right? So we can use to compose, right?
Yeah.
Right, or constitute a whole, right? Right, right, to compose or constitute of a whole. And then we can say, right, 50 out of 60 students will make up the the swimming club, right? Right. 50 of the people in the bus make up the swimming competition, right? For example, that will be okay. Right. Make fun of. This one is completely easy, right? Make fun of.
Make fun of.
So what do you think when we say make fun of?
To make fun of somebody.
Wow, to make fun of somebody. Right. So as we say, right. So as we say, make fun of somebody, right? That we're saying is to make someone a clown. What is it? So is it right? Okay. So how do we describe something? We have to describe something with different words, right? So example. So what do we say to make fun of? Right. That will be to right. That will be to what? To right. To tease somebody or to laugh at somebody or joke about somebody, right? Right. So these are words which we can use like make fun of, to tease, joke, and laugh about somebody, right?
Yeah.
That is good. Alright. So as we continue, what is the next one?
The next one is make a difference.
Alright, so to make a difference, right? So what are we saying if we're saying make a difference? So what are we saying to make a difference? So what is to make a difference? That is to have a significant effect, right? To have an effect on a person or a situation. So that is to say, for example, if we say, like for a situation, like for example, right, right now the world is crying of climate change, right? Because of
Yeah.
climate change, because we have no trees. So what do we have to do? We can also plant more trees, right? For example, we can encourage people with a statement and say, uh, if one person, if each or if each one of us could plant a tree a year, it will make a difference, right? In the climate
Yeah.
change, right? If one of us, if all of us, if all of us could plant one tree a year, this will make a difference. Will make a difference in the climate change. Right. That would be something that we could actually be happy about as human beings because our footprint is destroying the climate. So it's destroying the air, and so it's destroyed. So there's too much carbon. So that will make a difference. All right. as we are going on, what else can we say about making a difference? So it is just to have an effect on something or somebody, right? If you talk to her, that will make a difference because she doesn't have any friends here. She is new, so if you talk to her, it will make a difference. Yeah. What about the next one?
The next one is make sense.
Make sense.
Make sense.
What is to make sense? Does it make sense? Right?
Mm.
So what do we say about make sense?
Um,
All right. So what are we saying about make sense?
uh,
Still thinking? It's
yeah.
okay. Take your time if you want. If you're still thinking about the answer, it's okay. That will be lovely. All right. So to make sense, that will be to be right for something that is justifiable, right? To say it is something that is justifiable or something that is practical. That makes sense. Something that is practical. It is to say, right?
Mm.
It is to say to also someone is to have a clear meaning. Okay, and I say, okay, so if I say, how did you get this answer, right? Like for example, we are doing mathematics, right? And then say, okay, let me uh, simplify for you. If we say 2 times 5 times 8 times 2 plus 5, and then we bring it to this and that explain. I'm explaining how I got the answer, and then you say, "Oh, now it makes sense, right?" It means now you can see clear. You can now to have a clear meaning, right? To understand now, right? It means to understand, right? We can use
Mm.
make sense to understand something easy now. After someone has either explained or you have researched and seen what the explanation was about. Excuse me. All right, that is two, for example. All right, so as we're going again, we have the next one, which is to cut down.
Cut down.
Very good. So, what do you think cut down means?
Mm. To uh to cut some things down.
Oh, that is example. That is quite good. That, for example, to cut down, we're talking about cause something to fall, right?
Yeah.
For example, we talk about that is a straightforward one. To talk about something that is to fall for cutting down, like for example, to chop, right? We can use chop like trees, right? We can chop a tree that is to cut down a tree, or we can chop the hedge. All right. So also, what as a phrasal verb, it also has another meaning. For example, to cut down is to reduce, right? The size or the amount, right?
Yes.
Or the quality, right? To cut down is to also to reduce the size or amount, right? Right. For example, we are talking about somebody who wants to lose weight, so they cut down on the amount of food they eat, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to be like big, to say, right? They can cut down the amount of food they eat, right? Or we can say they can cut down the amount of fat they eat, fatty, right? So we have got cut down, and wow, we've got another one which is the opposite of cut down. We've got off, which is cut up. What does cut up mean?
It means to cut some things be small.
Yeah, so that is to cut something into pieces, right? That is to cut up something into pieces, right? So that is to chop. All right, so it is to chop in the kitchen. So you can also chop potatoes, you can chop onions, that is to cut up. So you can actually say, right, um, why are you why are you crying? You say, oh, I'm not crying. It's just tears flowing from my eyes because I was cutting up some onions in the kitchen. Oh, so you should also be wearing. So right, that is quite good. All right, so that is good. So we have finished all these. So I want you to, or maybe I want you to go over, right, what we have learned, right, to go over what we have learned, and then, oh, right, so, and then tomorrow I want to ask you and say, what did you do to yesterday? You will say, I. If I ask you, so I want you to go over what we have learned. And tomorrow I want you to, and when I ask you, what did you do today you or yesterday, you say, I went over, right? I went over the phrasal verbs which we did yesterday. So remember to know which past tense we are using. Right. Okay. So that is right. So we can use make sense. It will come to made sense. It made sense when he explained it. Right. So that is what we have for today. All right. Have a good night, and also
Have a good night.
very good review the what we have learned, all right, so that we can have a smooth transition of what is to the next step. All right, so that is good. All right, good night.